In 1994, over the skies of northern Iraq, two U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopters entered what should have been a safe zone. The skies were clear, visibility was perfect, and everyone involved was highly trained. Above them, an AWACS aircraft, the giant antenna in the skies, was coordinating the airspace. And nearby, two U.S. Air Force F-15 fighter jets were on patrol. And yet, within minutes, the F-15 shot the Black Hawks down. 26 people lost their lives, not because the pilots were careless and not because they were reckless, but because of a missed signal. The helicopters hadn't changed one small setting on a device called the IFF, Identification Friend or Foe. If it had been set correctly, the moment they entered the airspace, every system would have received a clear message. Friendly, do not fire. But the signal was never received. And under pressure, those pilots closing at 6 miles a minute, the human brain did what it always does with incomplete information. It filled in the blanks. They weren't on the same frequency, and the cost was irrevocable. What's striking is this: that tragedy was not an exception. It is a pattern. Researchers analyzing thousands of aviation incidents have found that over 70% involve failures in communication or information transfer. The message was sent, but it wasn't received clearly. And this isn't just aviation. Multiple organizational studies show that communication breakdowns contribute to thousands of preventable errors every year. So why does this keep happening? Because hearing isn't just about sound. Research in auditory science shows that perception is shaped by far more than sound waves. Large international studies measuring the cochlear sensitivity across populations reveal real physiological variations, dramatic differences influenced by environment and exposure. Do you know that citizens of different countries actually hear differently? It's called basic frequency band. The French ear, for example, hears between 1,000 and 2,000 hertz. The British bandwidth is between 750 and 2,000 hertz. And the American ear hears between 750 to 3,000 hertz. In a very real sense, there's a French ear, a British ear, and an American ear. And yet, just because we speak the same language, it doesn't mean we hear one another. And psychologically, there's a whole nother layer. Under pressure, distraction, or overload, the brain fills in missing information, often incorrectly. So even when we use the same words, even when we speak the same language, we don't always hear the same message. In other words, just because a signal has been transmitted does not mean it's received. Now, the truth is, most of us will never fly a military aircraft, but we live in a world of missed signals every day. Personally, it looks like this: conversations that go sideways, relationships damaged by assumptions, regret over what we meant to say. Professionally, it's errors, lost trust, teams working from different pictures of reality. Spiritually or socially, the cost can be even higher: disconnection, loneliness, people unheard and often unseen. Every one of these problems is a frequency problem. It's not a volume problem, it's not an intelligence problem, it's a tuning problem. See, the Christmas story, it's the ultimate example of God transmitting a message and humanity struggling to receive it. God spoke peace, salvation, and reconciliation through a child in a manger. And yet many missed the signal because they expected power and force instead of humility and grace. The angels announced the message clearly, but only those attuned to hear, Joseph, Mary, Zacharias, the shepherds, those who were lowly and watching, recognized it. Christmas reminds us that the problem was never the transmission. It was whether their hearts were attuned to receive it. Christ would say it this way: "He that hath ears, let him hear." So here's the invitation. Pause. Before responding, tune in. Before assuming, check the signal. Before reacting, ask what might be missing. Because clarity requires connection. connection requires tuning, and tuning requires attention. See, the most important moments in life, the ones that heal relationships, that prevent regret, that build trust, that restore unity, rarely come with noise or force. They come quietly and on the right frequency. This season reminds us that God still speaks, people still send signals, and meaning is still being transmitted. The question is not whether the message is out there. The question is whether we are listening. So slow down, adjust the dial, and choose to hear before you act. Because when we're tuned to the right frequency, we don't just avoid tragedy, we make room for peace.